And Reuben, please.
Look at that, it unrolls itself.
Something you prepared earlier.
It is something I prepared earlier. Now there's one each. That would be great if you're able to. That would be great. Thank you. I've got 6 in my office, but that's all I'm saying. Kia ora, I'm Reuben Davidson. I have the absolute privilege of being the MP for Christchurch East, or as we call it, the mighty Christchurch East, and a resident of North New Brighton, or as I call it, the mighty North New Brighton. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to my submission in the long-term plan, and a special thanks really to all of you for being, I was going to say submissive on a Saturday, but I think probably more realistic to say receptive on a weekend. It's appreciated. I'm not going to take my full 5 minutes, that's one guarantee, but I do want to speak just briefly about New Brighton and that part of our city, which has huge appeal. It's growing, it has an incredibly strong community, it has a wide range of people who love to call it home. I'm one of them, but don't just take my word for it. There are young families, there are small businesses and growing businesses, there's new residential development, there's a lot of that. There's people who've lived in this part of the city their whole life. Just today, you see that borne out. The New Brighton Seaside Market is bustling. There's Sideline Saturday Sport, which I've attended. There are lots of families, lots of people taking part in that. And I also changed my shoes, you'll be pleased to know, for the carpet and reception and stepped into the estuary to pick up some rubbish as part of the mother of all cleanups. So this is a really proud community, a community of people who love this part of the city, who are proud to call it home, and who don't want to leave. But everybody in this part of the city is really conscious of the fact that at some stage we will need to leave, and we'll need to do it in a hurry. And currently, as we experience every year during fireworks, we can't do that. So this really is a plea to make sure that the pressure is kept on the Pages Road Bridge redevelopment. So I outline that in my letter with a little more detail, and I also didn't bring a shark costume, but I did bring a giant version of the letter here too. As opposed to the normal size. One of the great things about holding a letter this big is that it makes me look smaller, and that's a challenge I have currently. So that's not the reason I did it. But hopefully it just helps it, makes the letter easier to find in amongst the many submissions that you have received, because I think this is a crucial project for council and for community. So the ask, and the commitment to finish within my 5 minutes, the ask is really a simple one. Keep the priority up, keep the pressure on, and make sure that we realise this new Pages Road Bridge. And finally, I think the really important part of that is that we do need to work together, and the community needs to be really involved in that process, because the community has a lot of ideas about how that bridge will or won't work for the people of New Brighton and for that part of the city. So let's stay connected, let's work together to keep the pressure on and to get that bridge replaced as quickly as possible, because it's critical.
I'm talking before you, Kelly. Thank you, Reuben. That was really good. One of the things we've got to do, we all have to wake up to the fact that maybe we may have to fund it ourselves if NZTA doesn't. So we shouldn't sit back waiting to think that they will. We've got to keep working towards the fact and not stop the consultation process, not stop the resource consent process, and get that done. So that's important. One of the things, I was actually down at the pier this morning meeting with the Pier and Foreshore Society, and one of them said, Alan Coburn said, we've got to change the narrative that it's not, this bridge is just a bridge for getting people in and out. It's not an escape route, because it makes it sound like everyone wants to escape. I know it's important, and we've designed it with 2 lanes out, and just for that reason, but we've got to stop the press and ourselves saying, oh, it's an escape route from Brighton because it sounds like you're driving into somewhere.
Oh, look, and once we open the electorate office in New Brighton, it will also be able to accommodate the influx of people wanting to rush in.
Kelly, please.
Reuben, fantastic presentation as usual. In your wandering around Wellington, have you had a chance to have a chat to the Minister about the New Brighton Bridge and where it fits into the priorities of the East?
Yeah, we currently occupy slightly different parts of the building, so on occasion we do get to share the same room.
Yes, I was going to say that.
And we are. I am actively pursuing a conversation on the matter.
Thank you. Celeste?
Thank you, and it's good to have strong support from local MP. In terms of other projects that tie into this, are there other things that you think we should be kind of keeping our eyes on? I'm thinking things like other transport projects in the mall and other things that you think are priority.
Yeah, there are a few areas. Obviously, there's a sense, true or otherwise, that there's been less investment in Christchurch East than other parts of the city, and I think there's definitely a sense from anyone who lives in the area or comes to visit that a lot needs to happen in and around our mall precinct, both for visitors but also for local people, and that's about a mix of investors being at the table to make that happen, and I see council as a really important partner in that process. But also generally in and around the area, we've recently seen at community board level some of the huge levels of concern about the removal of things like, kind of an iconic playground in Thompson Park there. So making sure that those facilities and resources are still supported by council. And there's also a strong sense around the estuary edge that I was walking into this morning, that project really needs to be needs to be started, it needs to happen.
And lastly, before morning tea, Aaron, please.
I'll double whammy my question into one, Reuben. Firstly, what was the environmental impact of this printing? And the other one is, I do note in your letter that you've said that the bridge was meant to have been open by 22-23. Could you please have a word, if you run into anyone from the previous government, on why that was not delivered by then? Thank you. And yes, it is our priority as well. This is our number one transport priority across the city.
Excellent. I'll get back to you on the carbon footprint.
Thank you very much, Reuben, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we will be back at 1:50 to listen to the Cass Bay Residents Association. Thank you.